was sitting back and thinking about the various comments that have been left across my content, on other people's content, and I started thinking of how it appeared that many comments, oftentimes, that I've seen on just videos or other avenues, are left with a seeming lack of having heard what was stated inside the prop culture. So, for example, if I were to still continue the trend of regularly doing relationship videos, there would be a sizable number of individuals that would go on there and assert that I was blaming all females for every single thing that happened, even if I don't say that. That would conclude that I'm somehow placing the blame on females, even though I didn't say that. Um, this tendency to just give a blanket rationale for why something doesn't work. They wouldn't try and understand where I'm coming from in saying that the way in which one is approved within the romantic spectrum, as far as attraction and ways of just going about being into the opposite sex, is dominated by the mindset of females. That's why when you have males that cannot gain the attraction of women, you'll have other males that will say, "Oh, well, you're not doing this, and she says this about you," or "You're not getting this many people or any people at all." Then you know it's you, and you can. Doesn't matter what else you are. If this one facet of your life is not to the extent that you wish, or that they think you wish it should be, they will find some reason to assert that you are somehow inferior in this context and how that translates over to everything else. And it's not so much having the opinion, it's having the opinion based off of a refusal to hear out what is actually true. You can say this isn't just a black or white issue, and they'll still go and surmise that, oh, well, this is happening because of these three things, that if you just change, then suddenly everyone will shift over and have a 360 or a 180 rather. And I've been kind of in this state of just trying to write it off, because I've taken it seriously in the past and that has not yielded good results. A lot of times we become convinced from people that are in our own lives, or that we see online and things that they say, that if we don't act in that same manner, we're somehow not worthy of their viewpoint or vantage point. And I've come to mainly reject that emotion, because one person's preference is not the same as another's. And I've tried to believe that there are people on both sides of the aisle when it comes to gender, whether male or female, that do not yield the same viewpoints of a certain type of person. I've had people who found me annoying. I've had people that have wanted to speak to me for hours on end. It's not really something I feel a need to brag about nor criticize. It's a different flavor, or I guess different strokes for different folks, if one wants to call it that. And it feels as if the only time there's ever this tendency among people that are critical of what they see to try and become upset with myself, or with, I guess, many of the people I would identify with in terms of just also having the same troubles in certain ways. It's always having to do with relationships. It appears that the only way they became realizing that I do not care for a majority of these interactions was by me showing it, which they promptly still tried to criticize. I kept explaining, you're not going to change my mind. I already used to believe that, everything was wrong with me, and, the female said, oh, it's you're not good at this, and just automatically buy it. And I already tried to work off of what they told me, and, still had the same thing happen. I do not reject things until I have seen them be rejected in the light of the same people who are saying these certain things won't be rejected. All those different, some males too, but all those different males and females are going on my content about, oh, if you just do this, do that. most of it's already been done. And as I explained before in another video, the worst feeling in the world is to go out and become something for the sake of appeasing other people, and then find out they still aren't appeased to the extent that you would have liked. You know, if I go out and lift 50 weights and gain some large muscle, I very much doubt that that just puts me on the path to being assured interest by the opposite sex. And there's this thing where people just can't get that. They think if this worked for person A, it's going to work for person B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I'm so bothered by a repeated refusal to just recognize that we're not all the same. You know, they talk about generalizations, and you know, we can't assign everyone that label just because they're male or female. Well, you're doing that if you're trying to tell me that because I don't operate in the same manner that you might, then suddenly there's just nobody is going to see that is attractive or want to try something. And it's bothersome to me because I get tired of this idea that if someone doesn't like you, whether they come to your stuff, whether they actively check on what you're doing, you know, I don't understand the behavior pattern that assigns people who are disagreeing or disagree with my way of going about things feel the need to just keep coming back and trying to either insult me or laying out rationales or belief systems that have failed in the past in terms of myself, and then getting upset with me over not using them.